Voters in lots of states across the country are going to the polls tomorrow. These off-year elections are often a bellwether for what we could see in the midterms. Turnout is usually low, but not this year. Scripps News Washington correspondent Stephanie Liebergen is across the river from us in Alexandria, Virginia. And Stephanie, as I said, turnout is usually low, but not this year. What key races are we watching?
Hey, Del, good afternoon. Well, it's voters in more than a dozen states, including here in Virginia, of course, that are going to the polls tomorrow, really amid unprecedented times. We are in what will ultimately become the longest government shutdown ever, and that shutdown is really increasing economic concerns for Americans across the country. Americans in more than a dozen states are heading to the polls Tuesday.
I think that this is an important election. There's a lot of things that people care about.
In New Jersey and Virginia, voters will decide on a new governor. New York City's mayoral race is being closely watched. Californians are voting on a redistricting measure, and voters in several other states will cast ballots on local leaders or statewide measures. Polls show the Democratic candidates are favored to win the governor's races in New Jersey and Virginia.
Especially if these races go the way that we expect. I think national Democrats are really going to want to point toward people like Mikey Sherrill and Abigail Spanberger as sort of the future of the Democratic Party.
Tuesday's elections are taking place amid the ongoing federal government shutdown, which is causing growing concerns for many Americans. 86% say they're concerned about the shutdown's impact on the economy, according to a new CBS News poll. And more than 7 in 10 say Congress is not working to end the shutdown. Affordability has taken center stage in both the gubernatorial races.
When I go to the grocery store, everything is high.
I just don't know how ordinary folks that you see here are making ends meet.
And the economy and cost of living is the top issue for nearly half of voters.
The economy is a big thing in this community, too. You know, you see people that are barely making it paycheck to paycheck, and the problem is that the cost of living is just going out of this roof.
Well, Del, the government shutdown will be in day 35 when all of these voters across the country go to the polls tomorrow. And as we've been talking about for days, there are growing impacts for Americans across the country. SNAP funding lapsing over the weekend. Some Head Start schools starting to close their doors this week for lack of funding. And the longer this government shutdown continues, more and more Americans are going to feel the impact as every day passes by.
Stephanie, people saying they haven't seen food lines like this since the days of COVID. Millions of Americans, though, as we have been reporting, got that bit of good news today. Can you tell us more about what the Trump administration said in its court filings?
So it was a Rhode Island federal judge that basically ordered the Trump administration to use some contingency funding and to fund SNAP for the month of November. So the Trump administration in a court filing today saying that they are going to use, it's about $4.5 billion to partially cover SNAP funding for the month of November. SNAP for the entire month for all of the families enrolled would be $8 billion. So they're not going to be able to fully fund it. What is unclear is exactly when those partial funds are going to become available for Americans across the country. There are some states that had stepped up and states were funding SNAP in the lapse from the federal funding. And the government, the Trump administration, saying in their court filing, because of how some state systems work, they're not designed to deliver partial benefits, that it could be weeks or even months in some cases before the families that need that partial funding for the month of November could be waiting weeks or months until they actually get it in their accounts, Del, which is certainly not going to help in the next few days.
When we talk weeks or months in November, we're talking Christmas and Thanksgiving. Scripps News Washington correspondent Stephanie Liebergen. Stephanie, as always, we thank you very much.